Hello everyone, and welcome to Optima, home of the Optima APOS series product group. Today I'm going to show you how to install and use PCProg, Optima's GoPOS programming utility. I'll show you how to do that right after this. Welcome back. Now let's begin. The first thing we will need to do is to download and install PCProg. We will first log into the Optima dealer portal. If you don't have access yet, please email pos support@optimagopos.ca with your dealer credentials and request access to our dealer portal. Once logged into the dealer portal, scroll down to the Optima PCProg section and click on Download PCProg. This will redirect you to our OneDrive folder containing the latest release. Click on the left of the PCProg installer folder to select it, and click on Download and wait for it to complete. Once completed, go to your download folder and extract the PCProg installer zip file. And double-click on the PCProg installer MSIX bundle file, which is Microsoft's installation program. Click on Install, and once completed, it will launch the PCProg application. But before we get into the details of PCProg, I would also like to install the Crystal Report runtime engine. This will allow you to download and generate your APOS reports directly within PCProg. So let's shut down PCProg and go back to your download folder where you will notice a cr.msi installer package. Double click on it, click on Next, and once you've read the license agreement with SAP, select I accept the license agreement, click on Next, Next, and wait for it to complete. Okay, we can now launch PCProg. And I will show you how to use this application to create a project for your APOS devices. PCProg is divided into several maintenance modules, each of which is designed to guide you through the setup and configuration of your point-of-sale devices. Once configured, these settings may be saved as a project and uploaded directly to one or more of our supported APOS devices. The PCProg application can be set up to run in two different modes: project mode or back office mode and database mode or utility mode. Project mode allows you and your clients access to their project file. This is the mode that versions prior to version 1.1 of PCProg would operate. Operating in this mode allows you to start PCProg with the current database and last open project file each time you launch the PCProg application. The file menu database options are disabled when running in this mode. New project allows you to create a new empty project file where all module data is erased, allowing you to start entering or importing new module data for the new project. Open project allows you to open an existing project file that has been previously saved. All module data contained within the file will be imported into the current database. Opening a project file is the same as the old receive from file functionality, where all module data is imported into the current database. Recent files, this new menu option will display the last 4 projects that you worked on. Selecting one of the files will open the project if it can be found. If the file has been renamed, moved, or deleted, PCProg will ask you if you wish to remove the file from the list. Selecting Clear List option will clear all file names from the list. When enabled, the Automatically Load the Last Project File at Startup option will cause PCProg to launch in project mode and start with the existing database and last project opened. Clients should be set up and encouraged to continue to use this mode. Dealers now have the option to disable this setting and work in database mode if they prefer. Setup Wizard, well, we will skip this for now, but we'll get back to it shortly. Save Project allows you to save all module data contained in the current project. Saving a project file is the same as the old Send to File functionality, where all module data is exported to file with the name and path of your choice. Save Project As allows you to save a copy of the current project file. The new file name will be displayed in the header of the main window. Exit. Upon exit of the PCProg application, PCProg will check to see if there were any changes made to the project since last opened. So if I make a change to one of the users, for example, when closing the application, PCProg will ask you if you wish to save your changes to the current project file. Saving your project data to file is the same as the old Send to File functionality, where all module data is saved in a file with the name and path of your choice. In most cases, this is the file you would be sending to your clients or using to set up your clients if they are going to be using PCProg. Version 1.1 and up of PCProg now allows you to operate in database mode. Database mode allows you, as a dealer, to start your client project files using dedicated databases to create and store individual projects. Operating in database mode allows you to start PCProg with a fresh, empty project file every time you launch the PCProg application. You may then open a new database to create or import a new project, or open an existing database that already contains the project you want to work on. This mode more closely resembles other Windows applications, such as MS Word, where you start with an empty document and either start creating a new document or open an existing one. Project files now become a means to import older data into your database with Open Project or the old Receive from File functionality. There is no longer a need to save your projects to file using the Save Project or the old Send to File, since all your project data is now contained in a database file and automatically saved as you exit each module. The only time you would want to save your project to file is when sending project changes to one of your clients. Remember, clients should be set up and encouraged to run in project mode, where PCProg will launch with their database and project file already loaded and ready to go. The file menu database options will only be enabled when the Automatically Load the Last Open Project File at Startup option has been disabled or unchecked. Two additional options are also available on the Recent Files submenu when running in database mode. Ask to Save Projects and Ask to Delete Transaction Database. As we have seen, when closing the application, PCProg will check to see if there were any changes made to the project since last opened or last saved. If so, PCProg will ask you if you wish to save your changes to the current project file. When Asked to Save Projects is disabled, unchecked, PCProg will no longer ask you to save your changes in a project file. Remember, all changes saved in each module are automatically saved to your database file. If Asked to Delete Transaction Database is enabled, checked, PCProg will ask you if you wish to delete and recreate your transaction data when you create a new database using the New Database option. Caution: the transaction data is separate from your project data and contains all downloaded GoPOS reports, as well as all stock and supplier entries. This should never be done on a client site unless you fully understand the implications. Clients should be set up to run in project mode by ensuring that the automatically load the last open project file at startup option is checked. This will ensure that PCProg is always launched with a dedicated database containing the client's project file, and there is no risk of them inadvertently deleting the transaction database. If Asked to Delete Transaction Database is disabled, unchecked, PCProg will no longer ask you if you wish to delete and recreate your transaction data when you create a new database using the New Database option. It will automatically delete and recreate your transaction data without asking you. New Database allows you to create a new empty database where all module data is erased, allowing you to create a new project file or open an existing project previously saved to file. Open Database allows you to open an existing database that would contain one of your client projects. Save Database As allows you to save a copy of your database and client project. Please note that all module data is automatically saved to your current database when you save your changes. The current project name will be displayed in the header bar of the main window. And the full path and file name of the database and project file can be seen in the About box. When shutting down the application, you may experience a slight delay when operating in database mode. This is to allow PCProg to create a new project file on exit, allowing the application to quickly start up when launched. When launching PCProg in database mode, you must either create a new database or open an existing database before you are allowed to perform any other action within PCProg. The last option on the File menu that I want to talk about is the Setup Wizard. Setup Wizard allows you to create a project file using the wizard to guide you through the setup of all module data. The wizard setup utility will guide you through a basic project for your APOS by simply answering questions. Each step will set up the minimum required data for each of the modules. For example, in the hardware setup, I can tell the wizard to set up my hardware simply by selecting the hardware type that I want to connect to. Click on Next to bring you to the next step. By default, the wizard will create two users for you, a clerk and a manager, both with 123 as the password. To add additional users, simply right-click on any of the rows and select Insert to create a new user, or select Duplicate to duplicate the selected row. You may also delete the current row. In this case, I'm going to leave it with just the two default users. Click on Next to set up your departments. By default, it will create one department for you with taxes and stock enabled. You must have at least one department defined to complete the wizard. Again, right-click on any of the rows to insert as many departments as you wish. There are no limits to the number of departments you may wish to add. In fact, this applies to all module data. Click on Next to create your products. By default, the wizard will create one product for you under the first department defined with a $0 price. Values can be changed by clicking in the appropriate cell and typing in the new price, for example. Insert or duplicate as many products as you wish, and then change the values with the appropriate name and price. If multiple departments have been created in the previous step, you may also choose which department each product belongs to. Click on Next, and the wizard will ask you if you want to define any corrections. I will say yes, and leave the three default corrections created by the wizard: delete, refund, and cancel. Click on Next, and the wizard will ask if you want to define any discounts. By default, a $5 variable amount discount and a 5% variable discount are created for you. If you want a fixed amount or a fixed percentage discount, simply check the fixed discount checkbox. Click on Next and select Yes to define your taxes. In this case, a single tax at 7% rate. Click on Next to set up the tenders. This will create a cash tender, a debit tender, a credit tender, and a no sale tender. Notice that the only one to use rounding is the cash tender, and the only one to use the no sale function is the no sale tender. Click on Next to bring us to the final step. As you can see, we have not met the minimum requirements to set up a new project using the wizard. All modules are checked with a green check mark except for the hardware. If we missed one of the steps or did not enter a required field, the incomplete modules will show with a red X on the list of modules. Simply go back to that module and enter the required data to complete that step. In this case, we need to enter a store name in the hardware. Once completed, click on Finish and the wizard will create a new project for you. Now if I look at each module, you can see the data that the wizard created for us based on the answers in each step. It created my hardware based on the APOS type chosen and created the appropriate custom display and receipt printer, complete with store info in the header. My two users were created, clerk and manager. Clerk having R rights to grant them access to the GoPOS register, and X rights to view reports. While the manager has full X, Z, P, and managerial rights, which will allow them to view and clear reports, make programming changes, and have managerial rights. The wizard created one department, our 7 products, our 2 discounts, our taxes or tax of 7%, our tenders, cash, debit, credit, and no sale. And the most important part of this is that the wizard created a keyboard for us. By default, the wizard will create a keyboard for each APOS type you defined in a 4x12 grid format. It will create a department key for each department defined, my discount keys, my correction keys, and my tender keys. On GoPOS, if pressed, the department key will display a PLU list of the products in that department, allowing you to sell any of the defined products. Pressing on the discount keys will apply the defined discount to the current transaction. Pressing on one of the correction keys will allow you to make corrections to the current transaction, or in the case of the refund, a previous transaction. Pressing on one of the tender keys will tender and close the current transaction with the chosen tender. So as you can see, by answering a few simple questions, we can easily create a project file that can now be sent to one or more of your APOS devices to get you up and running. The Setup Wizard is a quick and efficient way to set up a new project for your APOS devices. To create a new project, you can start with the wizard and then go into each module to complete your configuration. Before we dive into the functionality of each module, I want to show you the basic features that are common throughout PCProg. First of all, you will notice that a pop-up help tip is displayed if you hover your mouse over any of the modules. This gives you a brief explanation of its functionality. In fact, this applies to any label you may find throughout the application. You may display the full help documentation by selecting Help from the Help menu and then selecting View Help. You may also press F1 of your keyboard within each of the modules to go directly to that module's help documentation. You may also choose to work in English, French, or Spanish. Simply select the language you wish to work with. Click OK to acknowledge that the application will shut down. Relaunch the application, and you will see that all labels have been switched over to Spanish, including all the help tips and help documentation. Select French, and once you relaunch PCProg, the PCProg application is launched in French. Let's switch back to English. Remember, you must shut down and relaunch the application for any language changes to take effect. The About box will display the PCProg software version, database version, as well as the current database path and project file path if they have been saved to file. Let's have a look at functionality that is common to most modules. Let's look at the user maintenance module. First, you will notice that the screen is divided into three sections. The top section, called the grid area, displays the users in a row and column format. We have a row for each user in the database. By selecting one of the rows, the data associated with that user is displayed in the data entry section. For example, if I click on the manager, the data for the manager is displayed below. If I click on the clerk, the data and options for the clerk are displayed. I can then edit the selected user by making changes in the data entry. To add a new user, I can click on the Insert button in the Button area section. To duplicate a row, first select the row you want to duplicate and then click on the Duplicate button. You may then edit the new user as needed. For example, if I select the clerk and click on the duplicate several times, I can quickly add new users and then modify them as needed. If a row is selected, you may delete that row by clicking on the minus or delete button. You may also delete, insert, or duplicate a row by right-clicking on any of the row numbers. You may sort the data by clicking on the column headers. A small arrow at the top of the column will indicate whether the data is sorted in ascending or descending order. You may also edit or delete multiple rows at a time. To select multiple rows, press and hold the Shift key or the Control key on your keyboard before clicking on any additional rows. By using the Shift key, all contiguous rows between the selected row and the row you click on will be selected. The Control key lets you add non-contiguous rows to your selection. Simply press and hold the Control key and click on the row that you want to add. Or if already selected, click on the row to remove it from the selection. Clicking in the top left corner of the grid area will select all rows. Once you have completed your multi-selection, any changes in the data entry area will be applied to each of the selected rows. Clicking on the delete will delete all selected rows. The buttons on the bottom left are the Save and Close buttons. To save your changes, simply click on the Save button at any point while editing. If you make any changes and close the window without pressing on the Save button, PCProg will ask you if you would like to save your changes before exiting. In this case, I'm going to say no, since I don't want to delete all of my users. When you close a module, PCProg will store the size and position of the window as part of your user preferences. Some of the modules also have an import and export function at the top right of the window. I'll explain the import and export functions later when we look at the products module. For now, we will start by exploring each module to show you all the features and setup options available. And all of this to eventually get us to the point where we can set up a keyboard for your APOS devices with all the keys and features that you want your clerks to have access to. So if you're ready, let's have a closer look at each of the PCProg modules.
Why don't you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notified as soon as we upload any new videos. Also, if you want to learn more about the Optima APOS series line of products or need any POS accessories such as barcode scanners, printers, Windows PC POS terminals, and more, visit www.optimagopos.ca. Again, that's www.optimagopos.ca. I'm Brandon from Optima, and I'll see you again.